The King's speeches. Smooth as fear, laser hair removal. Just a scam to show people that advertising and marketing, patients' rights at Roosevelt Franklin D. Hospital at Columbus Circle, Manhattan, New York City is just a scam. Second opinions are threatened by psychopsychs Ms. Gurana, psychiatrist at Roosevelt Second Number Teaching Hospital of University Hospital, Columbia College Physicians and Surgeons, tell Lee Bollinger, the King's speeches. The dress that snares a prince. Now, isn't that sexy compared to the naked dick issues of the first YouTube broadcast of the King's speeches? You can tell Eric Schmidt, Larry Page, and of course, Sergey Brin. It's 2 Stanfords and 1 Berkeley. As the 3 judges of the American Idol of YouTube Planet on the internet, YouTube News, and YouTube Network to challenge, of course, MTV for the young on cable TV. It brings, of course, in the King's speeches here of no power as the watchdog for Steve Jobs' Apple Incorporated at MIT CSAIL's 150-year celebration, where Apple and Silicon Valley's icon of American leadership, technology, and science from a 4-part point of view versus IBM Research, Watson Jeopardy supercomputers that smack the butt of human puny brains in Jeopardy, according to Google. The dress that snared the prince, or the King's speech of no powers, first King speech founded in democracy by the founder here versus King George V and his predecessors in England during World War II's BBC Worldwide Broadcast versus YouTube Planet Broadcast here. And it's the King's speech more powerful that could snare a prince, Prince William, the future king of England, versus this dress. Or laser hair removal, where smooth is fierce, but a scam of women inside, like Kate Middleton, only wears theirs to snare a prince. But can the King's speech over America's first founding of a king in democracy, the King's speech of no power versus USA Supreme Court Roberts, a moot court where legal precedents could not be enforced, stare decisis by reprimands verbal by the U.S. Supreme Court Roberts, former U.S. Attorney, Harvard Law School graduate. And the fact, of course, is does that make it a moot court, since federal judges can have a rebellious act on their gold phones and tell everybody that they really want to have only appeals court rulings or federal district judge rulings to be held as legal stare decisis. In either case, they can choose the most recent or the least recent USA Supreme Court and therefore choose no Roberts rulings for his past 3 years as chief U.S. Supreme Moot Court versus U.S. Supreme Kremlin Court on unlimited anonymous PAC money donations. But yet Lee Bollinger doesn't apologize for it, for his 8-1 ruling that he violated 2 years ago in 2009 summer CU cases, and when PD and CU cop ambushes with superintendent, Spanish-Hispanic guy of CU Law School building, like Jack Villaverde, building superintendent of YMCA West at West 63rd Street, Manhattan, off Central Park West. Does this dress snare a prince or Mrs. Obama's iconic Everyday Icon book by Kate Betts? Time Warner and Time Inc., a block away from Roosevelt Hospital, where Beacon Hospital or New York Downstate Hospital in Wall Street, New York City, Manhattan area, didn't speak up, that they left stitches there when I left a month staying there, and bacteria climbed through the vines of the stitches. But Mr. Cliff Connery, with 2 N's, chief of thoracic lung surgeon at Roosevelt Hospital, did not live up to the name of Roosevelt, nor Lee Bollinger's free speech on my issues and CUW funding issues to Mr. Roberts' USA Supreme Moot Court issues. Can Mr. Roberts reprimand him? But in Ivory Tower, he can speak to no one, but through court rulings that people have the option not to listen to any of it. that changes everything. That's why Steve Jobs should tell YouTube that, of course, I'm the best watchdog and personal representative for Apple Inc. and Steve Jobs at the MIT CCL's 150-year celebration in mid-April in the show Intel supercomputer chips, my former professor, supercomputing. But of course, best watchdog for next CEO when Steve Jobs may be further encapsulated as permanent leave of medical absence versus temporary leave of absence, about to leave today from Roosevelt Hospital on Thursday night, very late. And of course, the fact of the matter, during the King's speeches versus Mrs. Obama. Everyday icon that couldn't challenge the USA Supreme Moot Court and changes everything opinions. And of course, the fact of the matter is that people ruin each other's movie experience in immaturity, criminal evil acts by throwing, stealing, robbing knapsacks, and of course, other property, or ruining their life experience, just like they don't ruin people's movie experience. Otherwise, they will, in their cell phones, turn on the movie theaters will be removed by security guards immediately. But in real life, they're not by cops, Lee Bollinger, or Mr. Roberts. Reprimand federal district judges and appeals court that have the option not to listen to any Supreme Court rulings in stare decisis. It's definition of moot court, yet Chief Justice Roberts cannot see it and owes me an apology and reprimands Lee Bollinger and his leadership in academic law and free speech and CU presidencies. Now, Roosevelt Hospital has the speak up issue. And I'm assigning Sly Fox as my medical proxy and medical advocate. They've done such a good job, tell Guth and Shaw. Guth at MIT Physics, DE Shaw Research with DE Shaw Hedge Funds, the number 4th largest last year in the world, asset management. Participate in all decisions in question. Why gravity can be defied in Newton Einstein's law, Dr. Connery and staff members insisting to do surgery, and therefore sent Ms. Kurana to deny me my second opinion because they think, calm down, you're so irritated. But I'm irritated for a substance fact, for legal opinion or second opinion guaranteed by patient's rights, as this booklet says. Tell New York State Department of Health offers professional medical contact in Troy, New York, at Hadley Park Place, Suite 303. They are totally useless in the 6-0 St. Luke's case that we won and I won against the Board of Trustees of Columbia and St. Luke's in 2005, October. And yet, this department did not even reprimand, but said that they did nothing wrong, like Lee Bollinger and Columbia's St. Luke's Hospital, St. Luke's Roosevelt Hospital, second largest teaching and research university hospital, Columbus Physician and Surgeon Medical School, number 5th ranking. It's the healthcare report to the foundations of Obama and Mrs. Hillary Clinton. They said that 6-0 ruling does not affect the judgment, right or wrong, Dr. Zamiki Howard Millman. So I ask you to speak up how Columbia in 2 specific cases and outrageously disobeys the law and the court rulings of civil court. And what is Mr. Roberts going to do about his Supreme Moot Court versus federal civil courts that are also moot, but less moot? Style meets substance, tell Kate Betts, and tell the everyday icon. King's speeches of no power. And tell the future king and his about-to-be wife's celebration, marriage. Versus this, or this. But mostly, YouTube Planet, or YouTube Broadcast, is the way to beat broadcast news and print news. The people choose half the vote in the number of YouTube grassroots news they know better than New York Times, Wall Street Journal,